Hi guys, welcome back to Bake Deco channel. And I'm so glad you're here to join us today to watch part 2 of our sourdough bread baking video. Okay, so I put the dough to rest for an hour, and look how beautifully the dough came together, and it's just like nice and fluffy and doubled in size. Now the dough is ready to be laminated. So in order to laminate dough, and laminate, you only laminate when you put anything into your dough, not when you make a plain sourdough. We have to make the surface a little bit wet. Otherwise we won't be able to stretch and take the bread off. Not too much, because the bread already has hydration. You don't want to overhydrate your bread. So you make your hand a little bit wet, because this is sticky, in order to be able to get it out on the counter. And we're going to laminate it and fill it with pesto and cheese. So we're just going to stretch and pull. I could already see some of the bubbles in the bread, how it's nicely proofing. So I'm just going to stretch it. I don't want to make any holes, because we don't want to tear the dough. Tearing sourdough bread is not good for the bread. Usually when it tears, it will prevent it from fermenting properly. Okay, I measured out 100 grams of pesto, which I will... Okay, so I'm putting 100, I'm going to start with 100 grams of pesto. If I feel I need a little bit more, I will add. Too much is not good, because then it dries out the dough when you add content, but pesto is oily. So you can never have too much pesto, one of my favorite flavors, but sometimes in a sourdough it's a bit too much. So I'm going to start with 100 grams of pesto. It's a bit oily, so I don't think you need more. You can go up till 150. I will now add 150 grams of shredded cheese all over the bread, and then I will show you how we will roll this up and let it rest. And then we'll do 4 stretches and folds every half an hour. We will do what we call coil fold. Coil fold makes for a better oven spring, and it also helps you to get a nicer crumb. Now I will roll the bread up. So now we're going to let it rest for another half an hour. Now we have it nicely all together. We're going to let it rest for half an hour, and in half an hour I will do a coil fold. Okay, so we let the dough rest for half an hour. Am I excited? I already see those bubbles, which shows me that I am going to have a very good dough. So I will wet my hands a little bit, and I will show you how to coil fold. We will pull the dough inward. We will turn the bowl around, and we will do it again. Then we will turn it from this angle, and we will do it again. Turn it around and do it again. This is called a stretch and fold, but this is called a coil fold. We fold inward. It develops nicer, the dough. Like I said before, we'll get a better oven spring and a better crumb. This method that I did now, you will repeat 3 more times. That means you do a total of 4 stretches and folds. Then we will let the dough bulk rise for about an hour and a half before we shape and put it in the fridge overnight and bake the next day. So now that our bread was fermented overnight in the refrigerator, we're going to shape And before we do that, help us out over here, guys, and hit our like and subscribe button to our YouTube channel. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to shape the bread. So first we're going to put some rice flour, a little bit of light rice flour on the counter so that it doesn't stick. And then we're going to be ready to shape our bread. I'll dip my hand in a little bit of water, so that will help me to take the bread out of the bowl. Now first we do what's called a pre-shape. So I pull and tuck it in from every angle as tight as possible. With a bread that has filling in it, you have to be even more careful not to tear the dough. Then you pull it a little bit towards yourself, pull it and tighten it so it gets a little bit of a skin on top. Now we're going to let it rest for about 20 minutes. This is the pre-shape. Then we're going to shape it in 20 minutes. Okay, so now we will be shaping our bread. I'm going to be doing a batard, which is an oval-shaped bread. I will put in to my banneton a couche. You have to put underneath. And I will put a little rice flour in my couche. And I'm going to now shape my bread. So you take it, you turn it over. To do a batard, you have to sort of pull out the dough, of course very, very gently, in sort of a rectangular shape. I see nice bubbles. I think we're going to have a very nice bread soon to bake for everyone to see. So now I'm just stretching ever so gently out the bread. And I'm being careful not to tear the bread because it has lots of flavor. And I don't want to tear the bread and have anything come out of it, or to, God forbid, deflate the bread. Okay. Now, we first fold over from one side. Then we fold over the other side. Then I roll and pull the bread towards me. Now I want to create that skin. So what I keep doing is this. I don't want the bread to open. So from here, I will keep pulling to tighten the skin on the bread. Pull towards you. Tighten it. Pull towards you. Pull towards you. Tighten and pull. Tighten and pull. Gently, gently. Just do this a few times till you see a taut skin on top of the bread. Just a few times. Okay, now we'll flip it over, put it into the banneton, and I'll just tighten it here a little bit. I'll pinch it together for a little bit. I see nice bubbles. We will have a beautiful bread hopefully soon. Now I will cover it with a shower cap. I like to use shower caps, disposable shower caps, and we will put it into the fridge to let it rest for a few hours before we're going to bake it. Okay, so here's our bread that we shaped before, and now we're going to score it and put it in the oven. So the way I do it is I put a drop of rice flour on the bread, then I flip the bread over onto a parchment paper, take it off, scrape off the extra excess flour, Now I'm gonna take away most of the parchment paper. We don't need all of it. We only need enough to be able to lift it up and put it into the oven. So we have quite a bit over here. Now I'm gonna score the bread. Flavored bread should not have too many scores, because the more scores, then the flavor comes out of the bread. So I'm just gonna make a very simple scoring in the bread. I'm gonna put an M for milk, for dairy. Now our oven is preheated to 450. I'm going to take the Dutch oven out of the oven. So we preheat our oven to 450, and we put the pot in to the oven at the same time to heat. When the oven reaches 450, you take out your pot, you score your bread, you put it in, you bake it on 450 covered for 30 minutes, then we uncover and we do it for 15 to 18 minutes uncovered. Okay, so now we're gonna put in our bread to bake on 450 for 30 minutes covered in a Dutch oven, a preheated Dutch oven. I like to use a thermometer to make sure that the oven is the temperature it has to be. And I also want to say something now very important. Breads that are flavored inside usually tend to have more oils and other stuff. So what happens is a lot of times the bottom will burn. What I've learned from a lot of practice is I put on the bottom of the oven, I put a thin sheet of foil. On the next rack, I put a small pan, like an aluminum pan, and then on the next rack I put my bread. Why? To deflect a little heat off the Dutch oven. So the very intense heat that would burn the bottom of your bread is caught by that small piece of foil and then just the disposable pan, so that your pot gets hot enough but not to the point that the bottom would burn. Okay, so now we have baked our bread for 30 minutes on 450 covered in our Dutch oven. I will uncover. Ooh la la. We're gonna have one nice bread there. Yeah. We will bake it for another 15 to 18 minutes uncovered. So I think our bread is ready to come out of the oven. We left it in for another 18 minutes. Ooh, we got ourselves a really nice looking bread here. We're gonna take our bread out and we're gonna put it down for it to cool. And after it's all cooled, we will cut it open and everybody can have a look at the beautiful bread that we created. We'll see our nice crumb and flavor inside. Well, it looks like our bread is nice and cooled off. Let's cut into this nice, crispy, crunchy bread. Ooh, I'm excited to taste this. There we go, lots of flavor. Nice crumb, oven spring. One thing you should always know, any bread that has flavoring in it most likely will not have the same type of crumb and oven spring like a bread that's plain, because the flavors and the oil sometimes pull the bread down a little, but I could see from here a beautiful crumb and oven spring. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Please let us know in the comments below. And now I'm gonna go enjoy my bread.